Yes guys, welcome back to another video. Welcome to the George Benson Football Channel for 6 things that we learned from Chelsea 1, Zenit St. Petersburg 0. It's not exactly the most memorable 1-0 Champions League win. I think the game we played in this competition before this one tonight was ever so slightly more memorable when we lifted the competition. But Chelsea get the job done. It's 3 points to start the group. It's another clean sheet. Who is surprised about that one? We do clean sheets in the Champions League for fun. There were Champions League minutes for Ruben Loftus-Cheek, only 2 of them, but he still came off the bench, which I was absolutely delighted about. Before we get into the meat and potatoes of my Chelsea post-match review series, be sure to subscribe to GBFC. There are still, I think, 36% of you that watch these videos that aren't yet subscribed. And if you could hit the like button on today's video, if we can hit 6,500 likes, that would be absolutely fantastic. Chelsea 1, Zenit St. Petersburg 0. It was kind of a game where Zenit actually are a decent side. They defended very well. They restricted Chelsea from creating chances, although I think it was a mixture of both Zenit sitting deep, allowing Chelsea to come at them, never really pressing Chelsea, trying to catch us on the counter-attack, which at times it looked as though they were going to do, but they never did it successfully. In the first half, I thought Chelsea were very pedestrian. I kind of saw a lot of elements of what we saw last season from Chelsea in the first half, where we struggled to break down teams that weren't trying to combat any of the Chelsea press. When Zenit had the ball, there was absolutely no rush from any of their players to do anything about it. And I think in the first half, it was very similar to what we saw last season, where we missed the focal point as a striker, but in Lukaku's defence, there wasn't any service in towards him. So it was kind of like Chelsea waiting for an opportunity to show itself when we had to create it ourselves. And I think the 2 creative players around Romelu Lukaku, both Ziyech and Mason Mount, were not doing enough to influence the game enough. So then, we begin with box number 1, and it is, of course, the man who scored the Chelsea goal, Romelu Lukaku. In a game where we didn't really create many chances, we didn't have too many attempts on goal. I think we didn't have a single shot on target in the first half of the match. And Hakim Ziyech actually managed to shoot on target in the first minute or so of the second half. And I was like, finally, we came out of the blocks, but it only took 46 minutes of football. You know what I mean? Romelu Lukaku is the difference maker. The ball comes into the box. He towers over the defenders and scores a wonderful header. My voice is getting a bit crackly because it's about 4:30 in the morning here, or 4:50 in the morning. And Lukaku is the difference. You know, last season, and over the course of probably since Diego Costa left, Chelsea have been lacking that focal point striker where when we're not playing very well, we'd either concede a late goal and lose, or we would have a 0-0 draw or a 1-1 draw. And we're all sat here kind of like, what's going on with this Chelsea performance? It was poor. But Lukaku is that man who can come up with the goods even when we're not playing well. And I'd say that the last 2 games have been 2 massive wins. Champions League, first week win. Aston Villa 3-0. When you look at that on paper, it looks wonderful. But I would honestly say, if we're being critical, that Chelsea haven't been brilliant in either of those 2 games. Yet Romelu Lukaku, back at Stamford Bridge, has 3 goals in his last 2 outings. And I think the header today is absolutely everything we've been dreaming of. It's a wonderful ball in again. Azpilicueta with the assist. We've got to get used to this one. Azpilicueta to Romelu Lukaku. He is the difference maker. You know, we talked in my pre-match preview about can Chelsea actually retain the Champions League title this season? And I said yes, they can. And as much as this wasn't the most inspiring overall performance, it's getting the job done. You know, we're the masters of the 1-0 in the Champions League. And if we can save the biggest performances and the best performances for the latter stages, then I'm absolutely all for it. Lukaku's goal was the difference. He's box number 1. Box number 2 is Tony Rudiger. There were 2 moments specifically that really stood out for me. I said on Twitter a couple of days ago that Rudiger's going to score the best goal of the season, and it's going to be one of those outrageous Rudiger moments where everyone's kind of like having a little ganders around thinking, what's he going to do here then? And he almost did it again. And it reminded me of being in the stadium when Kurt Zuma tried to take on the entire Ajax team when Chelsea had to chase after that game in the Champions League a couple of years ago. Rudiger grabs the ball in Chelsea's half, goes forward And I'm like, there's absolutely no way this is going to come true within a couple of days of me tweeting this. It almost does, but it didn't. But it was kind of like a catalyst for me, for Chelsea to be a bit more poignant in our attempts to go forward, to actually drive at the Zenit defence. We weren't carving out opportunities at all in the first half of the game. And I think Rudiger's just that player, that when things aren't going well, you could rely on him to kind of inject a bit of energy into the Chelsea team, whether it is through his vocalness at the back, being able to speak to the players, leading from example when he can see everything in front of him, or just doing a mazy, crazy run like we saw him do tonight that almost and could have ended in a goal. The second moment, which for me was the standout defensive moment of the game for Chelsea, was the block in the 60th minute, just before Hakim Ziyech came off. It was massive. It was reminiscent of what we saw in Porto when Rudiger was the saving grace to deny Man City a clear goal-scoring opportunity. Rudiger again, he's the last man, comes flying across and he makes a wonderful tackle. It was brilliant from Tony Rudiger. We move into box number 3. And I wanted to talk about this one because I often get criticised by saying I don't want to say when Mason Mount is playing bad. And I'm going to give him a yellow box today. I don't think I should ever give a player a red box if Chelsea win the game and they at least try to do something. I think it wasn't a case of a lack of trying from Mason Mount. It was just the end product was dramatically worse than what we're used to seeing from Mason Mount. The crosses were poor, the interchange was poor, if not non-existent in the first half from Mason. And we do rely on him for that kind of stuff. We rely on him for the link-up play. We rely on him for coming back, tracking back. Didn't have to do so much of that today. I got a sneeze coming. Can you hear it in my voice? There we go. Oh, that was a nasty one. It's still too early for me to be doing these videos. I've not missed the 3 o'clock starts, I'm telling you that much. Mason, not his best today. I think the way he connected, the dog just responded when I said that. I swear to God, behind the camera, he just responded when I did that and he's been half asleep. I think it wasn't his best game. And I didn't want to, just cover over it because there wasn't that many talking points, to be honest, in this one. I'd say that he looked a little bit rusty. He was trying to impose himself, but the final ball was never even close from Mason today, but Chelsea got the 3 points. We move into box number 4, and a midfielder who was certainly back on song once again was Chelsea's number 8, Mateo Kovacic. I thought he was one of the best players on the pitch against Aston Villa. And once again here today, in a match where in the first half, I literally had no notes. I always write things down on Evernote on my phone during the games when I'm watching on TV. And I had nothing written down about this game apart from Kovacic. Everything he was doing was very good. Going back, winning tackles, sliding tackles, trying to make passes, trying to drive forward. And I feel as though the number 8 on the back of his shirt has kind of gotten really embodying what we expect from a number 8. There were some people that were a bit disappointed that Kovacic got given the number 8 shirt. And I feel as though Kovacic has almost seen the number 8 on the back of his shirt and seen it as a bit of a chip on his shoulder. And I love that. I think the way he's playing at the moment, particularly these last 2 games at the Bridge, is fantastic. And I think with N'Golo Kante out injured, we know that when N'Golo Kante is not in the team, you miss a top quality player. But in Mateo Kovacic, Chelsea have a top quality replacement. I thought he was excellent again. Moving into box number 5, and I do want to address the first half because it was a bit worrying. I mentioned at the start of the video, it reminded me of last season where we would struggle to break teams down, we wouldn't create enough chances, and I looked at the players on the bench and I'm like, Havertz is on the bench, Chilwell's on the bench, bit more pace in between the lines, I guess you could say, trying to get round the back of Zenit. Timo Werner's there, Havertz is there, Hudson-Odoi's there, and I almost wanted to see a change at half-time. Didn't see it, took 62 minutes to make a substitution, which I was happy to see. Havertz came on and Chelsea in the second half were a better side. We started to create more, we started to be more intricate with the passing in the final third, but it was so slow in that first half and it was almost boring to watch Chelsea. And I didn't want to say that about the European champions, but it was a bit deflating. You wake up at 3 in the morning, you have about 2 hours sleep and you're like, let's go. We've got a trophy to retain. We want to go out there, make a statement. It wasn't really a statement. We got the 3 points. Lukaku gets the goal. That is all that matters. And I link it straight into box number 6. It is job done. Juventus went to Malmo, played very well. Got a good result there. Chelsea's next game, we go to Turin. And that is on paper the toughest game in this group. Going to Zenit's not going to be easy. We saw today how they like to play that low block. They don't really press us very well. We're kind of struggling to make the passes in between the lines. That's going to be a tough trip. The next one against Juventus is going to be the biggest and the toughest one. If we go there and get a result, then even after match week number 2, it looks likely that Chelsea are going to progress in this Champions League group. But there was a time today where I didn't think we were going to win this game. I didn't think we were going to get it done, but we did. And in terms of retaining that Champions League title, we are the masters of the 1-0. In this competition, we get another 1-0 again, 3 points at Stamford Bridge, and it is our main man, our target man, our number 9, who gets the winning goal. But anyway, going to wrap up the 6 things we learned video for you guys here. Get yourselves to bed. Hopefully you enjoyed this one. Massive, massive game at the weekend. It's Spurs away, so be sure to tune into GBFC to catch all of the content in the build-up to that one. I cannot wait. But anyway, thank you guys for watching. Come on, you Blues, champions of Europe.